What they do, y'all. How y'all doing out there? Hopefully you all doing well. See, we back with another one. We back with a spicy one today, and you all can see that I got a special guest on deck, Mungin. So, actually introduce yourself, man. What you go by? The many titles, the many names. Like, just give them a little description of a synopsis of who you are, bro.
James Mungin II. I do a little bit of everything. I'm a hood diplomat, you know. And what I mean by that is I pretty my face good every hood, you know.
Every hood, yes.
I pretty much, you know a lot of people because I played football.
Okay.
And you know, they created a situation where I didn't really pick sides a lot. I learned early not to.
Right.
From different experiences.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do audio, video production, and got a media company. So,
okay,
content creator. You know, had the Trapping Ain't Dead podcast at one point. So,
yeah. He was out here making moves, y'all.
Yeah.
So I had to bring him and introduce him to the tribe. So today we are back with a spicy one. We're going to talk about the title of this episode is "Time to Build Our Own." Because actually, this guy here, right? Just briefly, he is a advocate for us. You get what I say? He's an advocate for us. So make sure you all tune in. All right. What they do. This your boy DP.
This your girl T.
And we're the Geminis Gemz, representing for the Geminis across the world, giving our own Miami perspective.
For sure. So
you can follow us on all podcast platforms at Geminis Gemz.
Also follow us on Instagram, Geminis_Gems, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Geminis Gems.
Hey, make sure you like, follow, you comment, and you subscribe. Yes. And make sure when you type it in, it's Geminis with the S, Gems with a Z. And what we do, T?
Drop them gems.
Drop them gems. All right, so we back. So it's time to build our own. So when you hear of that, Mungin, when you hear that, what do you think about? Because I think about our community. It's time for us to bring like a separation. It's time for us to separate, start like our own political party type stuff, you know. So go ahead and chime in. Let's see what you're thinking about, man.
I think before we build our own, we got to think for ourselves too.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's becoming more apparent with the ideas of Kanye, Kyrie,
right,
Dave Chappelle,
yep,
Farrakhan,
yep.
You know, LeBron even chipping in and saying his things. What you know, we have to start to begin to have our own ideology.
Yes.
And I spoke about this. I had prematurely released the episode with Trapping Ain't Dead, like coming back out, just something I wanted to do just to be fun and light, talking about the Candace Owens documentary. And I think everybody kind of like had their differences about it, felt some type of way, but she black too,
right?
And so that doesn't discount, that doesn't
discredit her
anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to take those. We got to be able to agree to disagree,
right?
And be able to say, okay, one group of people may not like it, another group of black folk may like it.
Yeah, be intrigued by it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so, we got to be able to think, like I said, going back to what I was saying, is just we got to be able to think for ourselves, where it's just like outside of, we got to know what we think.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because at the end of the day, all these different things that's pushed on us, these ideologies that's pushed on us. And so what I was trying to go to was like Black Lives Matter. When we thought about, when most people think about Black Lives Matter, it's just what the statement is.
Right.
Black Lives Matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Black people are gay. Black people are trans. Black people are, regular, straight, heterosexual folk. You know what I'm saying? So we have all these different things that come together is the whole. So when one person says, "Oh, there's an agenda," all right, yeah, there may be an agenda to an extent, a campaign,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that don't discredit that there's not black gay folk,
right?
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So we got to be able to think for ourselves instead of running with the whatever the headline is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, I may not like it, or you know, other folk may not like it. But at the end of the day, that's a reality.
That's the world we living in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go, keep going. I'm letting you go on.
Nah, and so when we talk about, you know, when I first, it's crazy you asked this, and I'm here. When I first started All Like Minds, it was just about that, like being able to unite. I think the three things we had was unite, progress, and grow.
Okay.
And so one of the first things was that we knew we had to come together. We had to unify.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If we didn't unify on some type of level, we can't progress. We can't grow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, thinking about that and trying to build, you know, one of the challenges I felt like I had when I did the Peace in the Hood open forum, which we basically identified problems, discussed solutions around community issues, whether it was climate change, gentrification, you know, housing, education, what was going, the policies that was actually going on. So we brought people to the table. One thing I learned is that people couldn't actually, and this is no diss to anybody who came and supported, but people genuinely think what everybody, it's group think, think what everybody else think.
Right.
Now, I don't want to say they can't think for themselves, because people think for themselves, but we tend to go with the crowd.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we don't kind of like, you know, think for ourselves and kind of make decisions
on our own. Right.
Yeah. So when you think about building, we can't build our own because we too busy worrying about what the white man got.
Yes.
And we keep comparing what the white man got to what we got.
Right.
I never heard an Asian man talk about what the white man got.
Right.
I never, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I never heard a white man talk about what a black man or what a Jewish man got.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard a Jewish man talk about what a black man got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, maybe that's just I ain't privy to that conversation.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't think like they think like that. We have to be able to think for ourselves, like this is what we want for ourselves, not anybody else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so listen, that's a lot to divulge. It's a lot to uncover. So the mindset, as you're thinking of the mindset, as you were talking, one of the things that comes to mind is the fact that I feel like in order for us to start building, to separate ourselves, like how you said, we have to come into our own, but not just come into our own, find our purpose as a collective. If we build a party, for example, right? What are the things that we stand for? What are the things we go for? And from that, like, how do we unfold those, that cover, you know, take off that cover to really look at ourselves? Because like you said we tend to look at what everyone does and then start to attract those type of ideologies or bring those ideologies our way.
I go back to Black Lives Matter as much as, you know, because I got, you know, intimate knowledge of the whole situation with them. And I met Patrice a few times. I've done business with Black Lives Matter too. So but that's not to say my opinion is gonna be biased in any way. I'm gonna say what the hell I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? Right. But I just wanted to put that out there just so people know. It's an ideology. Like, I think we're there right now. Okay. Think about it. Black Lives Matter got a substantial amount of money. Right. Right. You know, that's not owned. That's not kind of like tied to no one group of people. Nobody's on it. The George Soroses of the world is not funding us anymore. Right. We got money, and we've created sustainable systems and sustainable ecosystems. So, you know, we talk about tech and what's being created in tech. So we got different ways, avenues and ways to make money. Right. And so when we talk about political ideologies and political parties, I think Black Lives Matter created what we should be fighting for. Okay. You know what I mean? As far as like how we should go about it. Like, no, that it shouldn't be a red or a blue. This is just me. Yeah. You know, I don't think there should be a red or a blue. I think there's a congressional Black caucus with, I don't know how many Democrats, but I know that the number of Republicans that's supposedly in the caucus is significantly lower. It's no, and the thing about policy is you gotta be able to talk cross party lines in order to formulate a bill and make shit work.
Right.
So if you can't do that, then what we lose. That's why we always losing.
Right.
Because we sway to one side.
So as you're saying that, one of the things I wrote down was like using our voting rights. I learned in class that, you know, and we should have this type of knowledge where we pick the people that we can benefit from, you know, far as the judges or any type of politician, the mayors, and as even, I already said judges. So we can use those guys as well as with the senators, as well as the
with everybody in the House of Representatives and everybody else, right?
Oh, right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
When you say class, you mean college or you mean high school?
College.
All right. So most black folk,
I see where you're going with it.
got high school.
Right.
Now, mind you, my knowledge of government and all that shit is high school as fuck.
Okay.
And I keep it basic when I walk in them offices.
Right.
I keep it very basic. I got one semester, which was about 3 months.
Right.
If that. Right. U.S. government, and I read the books.
Okay.
So I knew in high school I used to read. I used to be always intrigued by this type of shit. Okay. So I read all the books. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it told us and all this stuff, but we wasn't paying attention at all.
Listen.
And so most people, education, a civic engagement is a high school civic engagement. Then nobody's getting engaged on the regular level. The only other civic engagement is when you have children and they telling you about PTA. And you like, well, what's that? But is it a part of our everyday life? Like, think about growing up. Was civic engagement a part of your everyday life?
No, not at all.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think about my situation and I'm like, civic engagement was very a part of my everyday life. You know what I mean? And
because you indulge yourself daily.
Yeah, like, and it wasn't that. It was like my mom was involved in PTA.
Gotcha.
She was involved in ESAC.
Right.
My dad, they had the crime watch. I remember in my community, just so that's why
being involved.
Being involved. The George Zimmerman thing would have never happened in my hood.
Right.
Because we had people literally
on watch.
You know what I'm saying? The whole neighborhood on watch. And if anything happened, they had to come. The police did not come in the neighborhood without talking to my old
addressing
boy
first. Or
somebody in the neighborhood.
That.
So it was no crime watch. Like the crime watch situation, it was no like coming in the neighborhood, y'all just gonna come and shoot people. Like no. Like it's cats that was in here. Like, I'm talking about real deal situations.
Yes.
But we ain't creating our own. And this is it still exists. This is a partnership that still exists within the police department. All you got to do is go right to them and say, this is the plan we got, get community support, and that's it.
Keep going.
But we want the police to come in, and we shouldn't call the police for every damn thing.
Right, we should deal with it ourselves.
Yeah, like
to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, I think things get out of hand. Like, you know, once guns get involved, and you know, anytime there's liquor involved, you know, I think y'all just call the police. Those are situations where, like, all right, it's getting too out of hand. There's too many people drunk here, too many emotions high, and they got guns. All right, call the police.
So I wanted to unravel the fact of getting getting us involved with trying to select someone.
Oh, okay.
That's what I wanted to get into real quick, so you can expound on that real quick.
Oh yeah.
How can we navigate that?
Picking people,
right?
I'm just go in with the mindset that every last one of them gonna switch up once you vote for their ass, anyways.
Okay.
I hate it because one thing is, did you put money towards their campaign? Do you have a policy or a bill already in place that you are going to support, that you want to support, that they're supporting? You feel me? And those are some of the most important things. And that's when I talk about like active engagement. Even the Democrats, and I'm not going to go Democrats, Republicans, but even the people who on the ground who do this work 24/7 is at fault for what's happening right now. Because after election season, everybody lay down.
Right.
And they don't talk about voting no more. They don't talk about legislative session that's going to happen.
Right.
They don't tell you. They don't educate
the meetings,
you. They don't tell you about the process and how these bills get passed in the state and how these bills get passed on a federal level. Now, they show you on TV every day these people at the White House. But realistically, you know, the federal folk may be there every day, but the state folk not there every day. They there for maybe like, bruh, all of 6 months, if that, bruh, 4 to 5 months, bro.
I was gonna say 3.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. In some instances, they there for 3 months, bro.
Right.
They not there no more. They may come back up there for a weekend for a special session,
And then they back.
You
in
hear
their
what I'm
office sucking up the AC. Right.
So how many times did we learn about legislative session in high school?
Probably once.
I know
in the 11th grade.
I tell you now, I know I didn't. I know I didn't actually they didn't actually break it down.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was in a book.
Skimmed over it. Yeah.
They skipped over it, and
Yeah.
so that's the things that we have to pay attention to every day. It's not just when this time comes we can vote for them.
That's when we impacting and filling up the station.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when it comes, I think the most important people are the judges, right?
Exactly.
One of the things from this past election, when I actually looked at, you can go and look at a judge's track record,
right,
and what they vote for and what they don't vote for, right. But one thing I found interesting was that all the judges either was appointed by Charlie Crist when he was a Republican or Ron DeSantis as a Republican.
Okay.
So I voted to get rid of all of them because they're not going to vote for my interest.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying.
My interest may align with the Democratic Party, but we have to understand, just because my interest aligns with the Democratic Party doesn't mean that the Democratic Party aligns with my interests.
Right. So even as you were speaking, I was thinking about let's say, because you mentioned with the Republican, so as the Republican judges or whatever, how they were selected, some of their convictions is some of the things that we should pay attention to as well. Their track record, as far as in what's going on in the courtroom, to pay attention to how are they convicting us. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So go ahead and tap into
So it's that you got to understand. Like I think particularly in Miami-Dade County, we got. When you look across the state of like judges and how the courts are run, and who handles what, like each judge, like the circuit courts handle particular cases. And so when you look at Miami-Dade County, there's one judge, one circuit court that handles all of the felony cases, like the real cases. You get what I'm saying? So when you look at that, you like, one judge is deciding over all these people. You feel me? So those are the intricate things we got to pay attention to. And I say it's a failure on behalf of the people who actually do this work to actually educate people on the process. Right. You know what I mean? I know Melba Pearson, who ran for, I think, state attorney. Okay. She actually, tried to, has been doing some work, content around that type of stuff. But the courts is intricate and very important, because they don't just deal with criminal cases. They deal with, just policy, normal environmental cases, civil cases, anything. Any and everything deals with that. And then you got to pay attention to precedent that's been set in your state, And you look at the track record of all the judges in Florida, you see how they passed through. Once the Republicans wanted to do the abortion law, Supreme Court passed their law real quick. Right. Florida was like one of the first ones to be like, hey, we got ours in place. We got our state laws in place that support what the Fed's saying. You get what I'm saying? And so that's how that, and then you got to understand the judicial system, right? The judicial system is based on, and don't quote me on this, because I'm not a lawyer, didn't study for the bar, none of that, but go ahead. The judicial system is based on precedent. Really, it's a lot of like cases that have come before them and how they make decisions. Like when they come to big decisions, how they make decisions is based on precedent and who made a decision in a different court or a higher court before then. You know what I mean? Gotcha. And this is how things change when you get different judges in there who want to challenge the status quo. Gotcha. But if you ain't get no judges, you get one judge out of 7 judges, you ain't got no power.
Right. Right. So let's move further on to build our community. So one thing I wrote down was in order to build, we have to have shelter, security, living, privacy, comfortability. And also, so what are the elements to start to build? after we have the mindset, what are some of the elements that we would need additional to that you can think of to start the process?
What they call it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Explain.
It's a diagram. I forget. Don't quote me on it, but
Okay.
it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Okay.
And basically, that's what we learn: food, water, clothing, shelter.
Right.
So when you think about one of the main things, you think about sustainability, right?
Right.
We got to think about land. And land, we got to think about how we live off that land, how we sustain ourselves from that land.
Right.
When you go in and you buy a piece of rural property,
Right.
cutting down all them trees is wood, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Make money off that wood.
Right. I had a friend that did that. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of different ways when you got to renovate that property
Right.
that you can make money while you you know what I'm saying? You spending money to get it done, but you making money from off it. Like you may spend money to get it chopped down, but you making money off the wood that got chopped down.
Right.
So, it's kind of offsetting the expenses. Another thing is how we live off that land. So how do we grow food and how we grow crops and how we, make sure that
Plant, not just plants, but also animals.
And animals and how they create a sustainable ecosystem with that. Right. So exactly with animals. So, because at the end of the day, we can go on this vegan love fest all we want to. I love vegan food too, but at the end of the day, we got choices. That's what all America is about, and we wouldn't be given choices that now we can't eat meat because that creates this, and this is like how it's being treated. It's how it's being manufactured. That's the problem, not the actual food itself. God wouldn't put food here, and that's the natural ecosystem of the world. Like,
right. We're not just here to just eat plants.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, and so I think that's the main thing. How do we get water to and in and out of a city?
Right.
How we get irrigation. And that's why I say, like, the first thing I think is land. The second thing is, of course, and at the same time, simultaneously, is we got to be like, how do we get water?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because where's the closest water source, and how do we get that, and how do we irrigate this city? Next thing we got to think about is energy. How do we get energy? Are we getting energy from the sun? Are we powering through some mechanics like a windmill or some sort? Yeah. Are we doing it like the Egyptians did it through the water and the sun and calculating it like, so how are we doing it? Electromagnetism,
with the moon as well.
Yeah, and the moon, how the moon control that water. Everything is a factor.
Tide forward,
yeah. So everything is a factor, but I think the main thing is how do we sustain ourselves with food?
Gotcha.
And it's not so much how do we consume the food, but it's how do we build up enough like stock, as far as like animal stock and plant stock to be able to sustain that community, but also sell enough to where we can make money off them, because that's what GDP is about. When we talk about mindset, we need to be thinking about GDP. Now we shouldn't be thinking about the $1.2 trillion spending number, because it's only one part of the spending number. It's what we spend. It ain't telling you what we consume.
Right.
They ain't telling you what's our growth rate, what's our death rate.
Right.
It ain't telling you all those different factors that go into what we import, what we exporting, what we sell. What do black people sell that other folks buy? That's the main thing.
Right.
When you think about Jews can sell your ass anything. You know what I mean?
Under the sun
that you want to buy. They own the intellectual property. And let me be clear, they own most of the time the intellectual property behind it.
Right.
So that's what when Kanye was talking about ownership and things like that, it's like no. And I think Russell Simmons talked about this. They own the patent for the pattern to make a damn jacket. They own the pattern to make these particular jeans. They own the pattern to make these things. So when you know what I'm saying, and I only understand patterns because my girl in fashion. So
right.
So she told me like, yo, you need the pattern. It's like a software. It's like a document that you put on the software and it just runs for itself. It's the same way in fashion. You need the pattern.
Right.
You know what I mean? In order to run. And they own the pattern. So in order for you to create that pattern and run it, you feel me? You got to pay these people who own that shit.
Right. You deep.
And that's where it's, and when we talk about ownership, we gotta what do we own that everybody else want to buy? And Charlamagne used to say this all the time. It's not about selling out, it's about getting people to buy in. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, we gotta get other folk out from outside to buy into what we're doing as a culture. We gotta and we have to own the culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't do like what these HBCUs doing with the streaming contracts, you know, or what they licenses. They basically license the content right back out to these other people who make 10 times the amount of money, and then give it, and then we still sitting there while HBCUs ain't making no money. But realistically, they a profitable business, but they don't have a profitable business model. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, like, think about it, bro. Like,
I'm listening.
I was sitting up here, and I've been really like digging into like streaming. And the streaming contracts and the future of like new media, right? Okay. And so I was looking at who owns the licensing of these like trademarks and branding. And so how does like schools like FAMU and all the rest of these HBCUs make money from like the Nike deal? Right. And with the dunks. Right. Bro, they license their trademark through a third party licensing company. Like an outsource. Like a publishing company that basically licenses the trademark to other companies. And they get basically a percentage of what they get, or what the third party give FAMU a percentage of what they get. Not the other way around. Right.
And it's branded on FAMU.
Yeah. So like the FAMU Nike deal, bro, truth be told, they may have got,
don't tell me less than 30%.
They may have got that from there because of how the contract set up with the other company. And they don't quote me on it. You know what I'm saying? You have to go look at it. You know what I mean? But you know, these are the type of deals that we doing as a people. Just like when Dion was talking about how the money games, the classic games weren't really making money. You know what I mean? For the schools, it was because once again,
it was helping out the community.
It was helping out the community. It has its purpose. Everything serves its purpose. I'm not taking away from that. Okay. But when we talk about time to build our own and ownership, gotcha. We need to be in a position where we own it. Gotcha. Not that we license our rights to the content to a third party. Right. And then we get the pennies on the back end. Right. And we satisfied with the back end, but when we complain about, HBCU's not making this money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that's the things that's happening. And I hate to be, poking fun at HBCUs, but it's not just HBCUs. I see this with just Black Miami and Black government in general, Black nonprofit organizations. We do the same fucking shit.
Wow. So also, what you think is important with the infrastructure with building our own? Now we got let's say the political side. We understand we need to start our own, but also there's another thing that we need to. There's another. I don't want to say thing, but another phase that we need to go time into. I thought about a paradigm shift. Yeah. We need a paradigm shift in the mindset to really like to pick out that we need to take care of this. Like
I think what it is black folk got to get to a point where it's like America. Like you gotta understand, we the generation where we got so many liberties and so many freedoms that it's hard to take away from that. Like the generation before, like the you talk about the 60s and the 70s. Yeah. They had it rough, dog. Like it was still segregation. You know what I'm saying? We haven't had that. Like George Floyd and all that was like, and Trayvon and all them was like that little bit. Yeah. But it wasn't like they gave you so much freedom that you was like, damn. Like, all right, dog. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what it is. I think we got to get to a point where it's like right now, I feel like we get into that where that's why I say it's mentally where it's like you seeing them like that covert racism, coming out, and it's like, okay, nah, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, and Farrakhan saying, yo, y'all want to persecute us, but y'all own the slave ships. Mm. You know what I mean? Like you coming after us for what, for discrimination, but y'all own the same slave ships that brought us over here. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing. You know, to me, I think we, you know, I think when you talk about it, it's just paradigm shift. Definitely, we definitely need that. But
well, I was thinking about unity.
Yeah.
I thought you was gonna chime in.
I don't think. I think we get into that place of unity. But but I think like right now, social media is keeping everybody so damn divided with this black men versus black women thing.
Right.
And you know, I think, and truth be told, that's why I'm inspired to like do a lot of put out content now, because I'm like, all right, I see my place in it, where it's like somebody needs to, I don't want to say be the moral compass, but somebody got to be in the middle. Like, come on, let's make it make sense.
Let's pull it together.
Let's put it together. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know, I see 19 Keys trying to do his thing to elevate the consciousness of the people.
Right.
You know, and but I think at some point somebody got to say this blood raw.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all that high level
conversation. You got to dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah, like bro, people understand things on the 3rd and 4th grade level.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think we just gotta get people to understand that, you know, and we gotta have a movement that makes sense. I think people just don't. They genuinely been scammed out of every process, like
every single.
So
I like how you put that.
Yeah,
yes.
like voting. They tell people to vote every year. And then we lose every year in Florida because it's Democrats.
Right.
We lose every year. And then the wins we do get, it's like, well, what did that matter?
Right. Minuscule.
Yeah. So and then we don't understand how different policies that's placed affect us in different ways.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we're because a state policy ain't gonna necessarily affect you unless it's like something like abortion.
Right. Major. It has to be major.
It has to be
or like you were saying earlier, basically the day to day.
Yeah, or you know what I'm saying? And because at the end of the day, special interest groups lobby these politicians.
Facts. So you spoke on that real quick, lobbying, because that's actually what I put down as far as the politician. I feel that is very important. Getting lobbyists to lobby for us on our behalf, because we probably don't even have a voice out there.
We don't need lobbyists to lobby on our behalf. We need to lobby on our own damn behalf.
Gotcha. Because what I put down too was like flood the emails of, you know, our commissioners and what you got?
That shit don't mean nothing.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what means something.
Okay.
When you show up with 20 people, 30 people to their office,
that's more effective.
That's way more effective because now they know you mean business.
Gotcha.
When you show up and you say this is a policy and a bill that's wrong and we dislike it,
right? And
we coming to speak in on the public
volumes.
record.
Yeah.
Just
I
like,
got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like prime example. I think Dignity Florida. We talk about women. I don't know if you knew about the woman who got she had a baby in jail.
Okay.
Tammy Jackson, I think her name is.
Okay.
Tammy Jackson had a baby in jail. But the year before that, Dignity Florida had passed a bill that basically made sure that women had feminine hygiene products because they only got one. Now this is stuff you don't hear about in Florida, right? But I was privy enough, you know, my people. We was a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I was really right there and seen them get the bill passed from the beginning to where it is now. Okay, and so black women, all black women,
showed up,
passed this, you know, wrote this bill. Okay, lobbied politicians. Women that was formerly incarcerated, all of them was most of them was formerly incarcerated. Okay, that lobbied these politicians. They don't have no political background, and they talked to different politicians, told their story, got them to sponsor the bill on their side, and they got more they got feminine hygiene products and different things that they needed for them women that's in jail, because people didn't even know that they was getting 1 and 2 pads per period, per cycle. How the fuck?
How that's gonna work? Some run 7 days, but
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these are the things that was happening, but that's something that happened in Florida, just like when I was around Amendment 4. Okay. Desmond Meade had been pushing that bill for 2-3 years and building support for that. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And working through different local municipalities to get them to ban the box before we can get them to say, hey, Amendment 4. You know, felons should get their rights restored, because people didn't even realize how important. Like, didn't even the reason why it's so bad in Florida, and people in Florida be like, "Why you need to vote?" Because most of us felons, You know, not saying I am, not saying you are.
Right.
But most
We
people,
know some.
We know we know people that's felons that
Right.
don't vote, and
Right.
majority of people that's tiered felons and don't vote. Like, think about that. Think about how many black folk that you know that could be a part of the voting block that's not a part of the voting block and serve their time and they don't vote because they simply don't have their rights.
Right.
That's a significant number of people. And that was a political strategy as much as it was a human rights violation.
Right.
Because we add more black people and more Hispanic people and shit. To the equation. And they may vote left or right.
Right. You
know what I
never
mean?
know. Yeah. Right. Keep going.
So these are the different factors when we think about lobbying, we think about politics. Politics is a game that we inevitably gotta play. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I equate it to being on the basketball court playing a pickup game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't call the rules until you won the game.
Exactly.
Once you won the game, now you can now when you call a foul, they can respect the call.
Right.
But
You already said president.
yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My precedent.
Right.
So now we done said it like, hey, this is what it is, and that's what Black Lives Matter did.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter went and said, hey, y'all not gonna fuck with us.
Right.
We on every level. This is the thing that y'all been doing. State violence is the thing y'all doing. We gonna deal with gun violence internally, but this is what we dealing. Like, this is what y'all doing to us.
Right.
We gonna attack the people who attacking us first.
Gotcha.
You feel me? And we gonna set a political ideology that lets people know that you know, when it comes to black people and brown people communities, this is how you should act and this is how you should think around you know what we feel like we need. You know what I mean?
We not second class citizens.
Yeah. You know, and then we gotta deal with the already issue of, you know, a lot of our black folk. I don't want to say they selling out, but they just misguided. They misguided.
They say that Uncle Tom.
They misguided. You know, I'm not quick to call them Uncle Tom or Sambos and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm quick to be like, you just misguided and misled based on the information, because my truth and your truth can be different.
Okay.
Based on the facts presented to us.
Right.
If they miss out one fact and telling, you know how stories get told.
Yes.
They miss out something, they tell you something. They tell me something and leave something out that they told you.
Yeah.
You get me? So
two or
it's
three things that on top of that.
Yeah, so it's based on facts presented.
Gotcha.
And so based on what's presented to us, that becomes our truth. You know? And I think a lot of times when we think about politics, we think about just normal things that happen, you know, we're told one side of the story.
Right. So to add, I was thinking about to also build our community, buying black life insurance. What you got to say?
Insurance is a scam, but if we want to go that route, I'm all for it. And the only reason I'm saying that is because insurance is just really like a big ass fund.
Okay.
You know, it's a big ass fund. Like a whole bunch of partners got together, and you can create an insurance. You can create community collective insurance,
right?
Yeah. You can do that. Where everybody pays into this insurance. Is you know what I'm saying? It's just like tithing. Everybody go tithe, but you actually can get something out of it.
Right.
You actually can pull from it.
Right.
And you can get in life insurance. You can pull equity from life insurance. You can, you know, do business
So
loans.
why you say it's a scam?
No, I'm saying like insurance in general, like the.
I get what you're saying.
Like right now, as its present state, like
I get what you're saying.
Flood insurance
Right.
in Miami.
That's why I say I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about life insurance.
Now,
Right.
life insurance. Nah, yeah, I think that's a viable strategy. Somebody came to me early about that strategy, and I was very ignorant to it. But they did try to hip us to it, like literally, like I want to say like 6-7 years ago about life insurance, and I was real ignorant because I just didn't understand. And like, you know, when there's a lot of noise around, you don't understand. And,
Right.
And so like everybody had they kind of like objections, but I was trying to be like what is he trying to tell me?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't understand. At the time, I was still going to school for like supply chain management and IT, so I was still trying to understand equity and what that meant. You know, I was on the stock, the like investment club and all that stuff at Dade, but I still didn't understand equity and what that meant in real life. Like I'm a real life application person,
Right.
So if I don't understand what that
You
means,
sound like me.
if I can't apply it in real life, it's kind of like
Hard.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's like absent from the mind. So like understanding that now, life insurance, being able to pull from life insurance, you put in a decent amount of money and they matching the funds or whatever, whatnot, and then you be able to pull equity from it. Yeah, why not? It's a viable strategy. I think everything is trial and error until we fucking win.
Right. We need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so the last one is I said buying black. What you got with that? Because I'm in full support of buying our own. Mm-hmm. As not trying to support others, because we already did that for X amount of years, but it's time to start buying into our own community. What you got?
I'm all for it. I would be a hypocrite.
As well as patronize our own as well.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We'll make the difference between like the business side and then the patronizing our own. You talking about like patronizing restaurants and stuff like that?
Exactly.
And yeah. So my whole thing is, I look at Miami Gardens, and we talk about what black
excellence should
look like,
right.
and so I'll break down some things that people kind of get upset about. So one of the things that we upset about is they tore down the flea market and built up Ross and the plaza, right? The nice little plaza. But the thing about that is, the unfortunate thing about that, they cut out entrepreneurs and created jobs. And so that's what government does. Their job, the government's job is to take care of the welfare of the people. And the best way they can do that is put you on a fixed salary.
Wow. I didn't see that angle, but I understand it.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when you think about, and then when you think about attraction to a city, right? You think about the stadium being right there.
Right.
You
what's
think
around
it.
Yeah.
And so on Trapping Ain't Dead, we had Gilbert on there, and that's one of the things I challenged him on. I asked him a question, and he talked about the importance of the anchor tenant and the fact of, like, small businesses wasn't getting the same amount of traffic.
How so?
So, like, for instance, we had those, back in the day, we had the barbershop.
Right.
But outside of that barbershop, who was pulling people to Carol Mart? You feel me?
Other than the T-shirts or you ain't even going there to eat the food, right?
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Other than the Nikes and
but that's what I'm saying. Like the barbershop, so when Carol Mart dropped, when Carol Mart dropped, and they got rid of Carol Mart, so to speak, and it was just the barbershop and all that over there. What else was drawing people there?
Outside of that, nothing else.
So the purpose of the anchor tenant is that it's a big business that everybody already know that's gonna pull people in. When people go and search shit on Google and they look at where's the closest whatever,
right?
The Wawa, y'all got a Wawa on 199th, bruh. What? No, 183rd now.
Yeah.
A Wawa on 183rd, bruh. Right. Ain't no Wawa nowhere else. It's in Miami like that,
right? Except down south, right?
Yeah, you feel me?
Right.
And y'all got one, and so when people go look for a Wawa gas station because they gonna look for it, guess where they gonna go? Miami Gardens. So right, it's gonna pull people in. It's about pulling people in. It goes back to what? It's not about selling out. It looked like we sold out to these.
Gotcha.
But guess what? They franchises.
Okay.
Right. The Starbucks franchise is owned by a black person.
Okay.
You get me? I don't know what the Chipotle is owned by. I don't know who the Wawa is owned by.
Right.
But I know a significant amount of these properties, or these franchises, it's black franchises.
That's what's up.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we got to look at that. And so those are different strategies. The best way for people to get in business and be in entrepreneurship is through franchise.
Right.
It's through franchising. So, we got to look at different strategies and say, this is what works. This is what doesn't work. I don't think we need to whitewash black communities. I don't think that needs to happen.
Okay.
But, there's a need for all these type of things. So when you talk about supporting black businesses, yes, we do need to support black business. But at the end of the day, black businesses have to create a viable need for black communities.
Understand.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like for instance, in order for me to go use the black soap, you gotta be 3 times better and offer the same fucking service as the Dove.
Gotcha.
If I go on your site and your shit is not available, god damn it, yes, I'm gonna make a fucking choice because economics is about choices.
Right.
I'm gonna go make a choice and go to Publix right now and go get me some more soap because I need soap right now and you don't have it right now. Imagine if I ordered your soap a week ahead of time and you didn't have none in what's the name?
Stock, yeah, inventory,
in stock,
yeah.
In inventory.
Yeah.
You didn't have it in inventory. I waited 2 weeks past. Well, 2 weeks before my soap go out, I fucking go on your site. You ain't have it. A week passed, you ain't have it. Now it's getting down to a nigga that ain't gonna have no soap. You feel me?
Yes.
What I gotta do? I'm gonna either go to the corner store because it's convenient.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the damn regular place I go, which is Publix or wherever else to get the soap with Costco or whatever. Right.
Right.
I'm gonna go to these normal places, but it's a matter of convenience. It's about choices.
And they have a whole bunch of inventory.
And they got inventory
readily available.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to it.
Right.
You feel me? The reason why hairstylists can make these outrageous ass rules in the black community is because they know they have a service that people
is needed.
Is needed, but guess what, motherfuckers? It's enough hairstylists around here. You can go to somebody else for that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what we gotta understand with black business. I support every black business there is out there. But I'm gonna tell them at the end of the day what it is and what it ain't. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's certain reasons why I'm like, I go out of my way to support black businesses. When I have to go,
I know you do. Yeah.
When I gotta go eat, okay. When I gotta go eat, first thing I'm saying is which black business I'm going to first.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
When I go shop, I tell people all the time, I don't really go shopping for clothes and shit. You know what I'm saying? But when I go shop, my drawers is black owned, my clothes is black owned. Like,
I remember you did a post of, I don't know exactly what it was, far as if it was clothing or some type of I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you had posted like, yo, shout out to so and so. Let's go and patronize. Let's go and support. And I know you're an advocate for it. So, but the thing is, I just feel like people just, how you said, they don't have the material readily available, the inventory readily available for people to actually patronize. It's not consistent. They're inconsistent, and that's one of the complaints that I hear from different people when I say black. Buy black.
Yeah, and it's
they not even showing up. They not even showing up to the shop.
Yeah, on time or being. Yeah, it's a lot, and so they talk about and we'll talk about we try to compare across industries, and so like when you think about restaurants and you just strictly on restaurants, customer service is hospitality is the number one thing, number one in restaurants. Number one. So if your customer service ain't there, like you know what I'm saying, people gonna complain. That's gonna be the number one thing they complain about.
They're not gonna show up.
You feel me? If your food too salty, okay, that's a okay. But if your customer service bad, all right, that the people definitely ain't coming back.
Right.
You feel me? Like you being too salty or whatever. Like people you can change that.
Right.
But it take a lot to change customer service.
Facts.
People experience when they experience it one time, they ain't gonna experience it twice.
That's it.
And so it's an upside to that. Like I said, it's a good and a bad side to a lot of things. You know what I mean? And patronizing. I think we just have to black people got to be able to search for what we need and say this is. We have to make it a part of culture to say, okay, we are supporting our business because this is going back, and this is how it's going back. A lot of times we can't see how it's going back into our neighborhoods, right? So like with Roots Printing, that I'm a part of, Roots Collective, right? I'm a founding member of that. So we have kind of like 3 different things we got going on. We got Roots Printing, we got the Roots Black House, which is an event space. And it's a kind of headquarters for us. And then we had the Village Fridge. And so the Village Fridge is a 6-day-a-week, half day pantry, food pantry. Okay. So we open from 9 to 12 every morning, 6 days a week. And we give people food based on the food waste situation, right? So that has its own budget. Then you got Roots Printing. Roots Printing makes the money. Roots Printing makes the money so we can pay for everything that's around and subsidize.
It's the mother.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The food pantry.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And so when we think about this, is when you support Roots Printing, think about the families you feeding at the Village Fridge. Mm-hmm. Think about the programming that you sponsoring at the Black House. You get what I'm saying? Think about the summer programs that we do. That's how that gets funded. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so when we think about businesses and we talk about the ecosystem and supporting black businesses, how is it going back into the ecosystem of black people? When you support that black Starbucks in Miami Gardens, you're not only supporting that black Starbucks in Miami Gardens, you actually supporting, hiring these black kids, these black teenagers. You know what I mean? And we got to pay attention to that. When you go to Jazz in the Gardens, you supporting education.
Right.
And we got to understand this is why we supporting it. And that's what my thing is the intent. You know, so a lot of things is about like it. When I go to support a black business, it's because of intent. My intent is to make sure I'm putting back, and you know, when they talk about the rappers not checking in, the checking in fact is the reason they don't want to check in because y'all niggas ain't putting nothing in the community.
Right.
So what the fuck is the purpose of checking in? Because you know, other than a fear tactic, you know, and nothing being done for the community.
Gotcha. So before we close out, you got any last word in building? What I said, time to build your own.
Like I said, we gotta think for ourselves first.
Right.
Going back to what I was saying, we gotta think for ourselves. The second thing is, in building our own, we gotta be empathetic to each other.
Gotcha.
That's the main thing. We can't unify if we're not empathetic to one another. And what I mean by that is that, like, prime example, the situation with this girl in Mexico.
Right.
We all saying, oh, we almost like victim blaming the girl for, you know, going with her friends on the trip. When in all actuality, how many spirits was in that room? Not human beings. How many spirits was in that room?
Right.
You get me? You get what I'm saying? Like, how many people was in that room that did not say nothing? These were all her quote unquote friends.
Right.
You know? And so that's an internal black issue that we got to look at, and we got to say, no, we got to do better. We got to say we not going to do that to our people.
Exactly. I agree with that. There's no way that they should have been in the room and let that go forward.
You get what I'm saying? And so
especially if they called a friend.
Yeah, and we all have these internal compasses, and we done been, you know, we grew up together. Like, people don't know this, but me and you grew up together, right? And we had situations, and so it was a lot of times where Munch had to be the voice of reason to everybody.
Right.
Everybody was ready to go stupid. Like,
go crazy.
Prime example, right? Situation with, you know, I tell the story, we laugh about this with when we was a fresh click. Remember that?
Yeah.
So we was the established people at the Coach Ross Center at the time, right?
Facts.
We was the guys.
Right.
And so the guys from Lincoln Field came over.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they tried to run shop.
And so they was coming over like, hey, we finna come over. We see the girls over here. We finna run shop. Now, mind you, know, it's a male thing. We somewhat territorial over the what's the name? But this is our territory. This is our domain. This is where we be at.
This is how we function.
This is how we function.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it could have went. Them boys was ready to throw down.
Automatic,
on site, because this is the environment they come from.
Yes,
the environment we had been brought up in didn't have us like that, and so, you know,
we saw it coming.
Yeah, we
did,
and we was ready for it. But at the same time, I was like, look. It's too many of them. It's too many of them, and it don't make no sense. It don't make no. It's a lot of.
It was only 4. No, it was 7 of us.
Yeah,
and 30.
It seemed like 30. You know what I mean? But it was like 10, maybe 15 of them.
Doubt,
you know what I mean?
No doubt.
But at the same time, like, you know, somebody got to be in the middle and say, hey, we can come together. Hey, this is just a process that got to happen.
Right.
You know, and me and Black always talk about, like, me and Black, like, we didn't, that was the biggest thing, because me and Black didn't get along.
Right.
You know? But it was a lot of different riffs because of, you know, different things, but it was just, my thing was
the lack of communication.
Yeah.
And that's what actually brought us together.
Yeah.
Then we found out from Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Davis, that, hey, listen, you all are similar. Y'all just are from different walks of life.
Walks of life. And once we did that, everybody started hanging with everybody.
And we clicked like it was nothing.
Yeah. And so, and that's what got to happen when we talk about building communities. Those are the type of conflict resolutions that we got to come to.
Facts.
We got to have empathy to be like, all right, we know y'all, boy. We know what y'all see.
Yeah.
We know the women in the tights walking up and down the street. We see it. We know.
We know.
But all right, we can't hog it all to ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta dish it out. Share it.
Yeah. We gotta share it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, hey, it's a certain level of respect.
Exactly.
That gotta come with it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So yeah, there you have it. Building your own with your boy Mungin. He came and showed up today. So I'm your boy DP. This my boy Mungin, and we Geminis Gemz. That's Geminis with the S, Gems with the Z, and what we do, we drop them gems. Go ahead and drop some gems, bro. All right, check y'all out later, all right? All right, y'all. Y'all take care.